Celeste is regarded as one of the best indie games, well, of all time, and as I've now learned, for very good reason. Making a platformer is a rather difficult task to take on, especially for indie developers. Yet, with their commitment, we've got some of the best platformers from indie devs, and Celeste might just be at the top of the list. But, of course, like most games these days, good gameplay isn't enough to make this game a masterpiece. Well, I mean it is, but luckily Celeste is also paired with a very engaging and important story that everyone can relate to. So in this short review, let's take a look at my thoughts on Celeste. Before we begin, I want to point out this new style of video. Since I have like a million games to review, I've decided to have some games just as more quick thoughts and not full-blown reviews, so I can speed through them and make all sorts of different variety of videos instead of just reviews. So yeah, instead of going over everything, I'll just touch on my general thoughts, what I liked and disliked, and everything that stood out to me. This is the first of many to come. Anyways, on to the review. In Celeste, you play as a girl named Madeline. Your goal is to climb Celeste Mountain, so throughout the game, you traverse from level to level, meeting new characters, and interacting with the amazing platforming. And I mean, this stuff is truly amazing. The entire game focuses around the basic mechanic of dashing. Of course, each level has its own sorts of wonderful gimmicks. Some, I'll admit, aren't super original, but then there's some that really stood out as just super excellent. And levels aren't overly long, so you never get bored with any sorts of the mechanisms. The game knows exactly how long to keep them in before they get annoying or frustrating. Except wind. Like, seriously, wind sucks. Anyways, as I said, all of these gimmicks connect back to dashing, which is just a genius central mechanic, and there's so much potential with it. How you recharge it, sometimes you can dash multiple times. I mean, the level design in general is phenomenal. Honestly, even without the story and characters, this game is still a marvel. Now, I'll admit, things can get a little tricky at some points. The main game wasn't overly hard, sure there were things to get used to, but I'm fairly confident anyone decent at video games could make it through. But even though the main game is rather lengthy, each level has all sorts of secrets. There's these strawberries hidden everywhere that require you to do small little challenges, and even though they don't change anything at all, for some reason they're still so tempting to go for. There's also crystal hearts and tapes hidden that unlock all sorts of bonus content, most notably the B and C sides. These are basically super challenging versions of the stages in the main game, but are of course completely optional. I only had the stamina to complete all the B-sides, and geez, they were frustrating. But even after I know I got so mad at some points, I still look back on them with a positive light. Celeste's difficulty is designed in my favorite way. I go over it more in length in a video I made about Cuphead. Basically, while the moment-to-moment gameplay is rather unforgiving, a single wrong move has you dead, the restart time and checkpoints are super convenient. Within a second after dying, you can restart the same challenge, and there's really no consequence to failing except the death count meter slowly rising. It makes some of the absurdly difficult rooms a lot more manageable when you know that in reality the challenge is only about a few seconds long. Playing all these B-sides really showed to me how great this game's mechanics are, and how smart the developers got with pushing them to their absolute farthest limits. For such a cheap game, this is like the definition of bang for your buck. But I really hate that saying, and I hope I never have to say it again. Moving on from the gameplay, the pixel art and music were also rather amazing. I mean, neither were mind-blowing or super unique, but I never minded. The music in particular had both catchy tunes, but every song also fit the moment very well. And finally, the story and characters were really great. While it may not initially seem like it, Celeste tells a powerful story of mental health through Madeline and all the challenges she faces with herself as she climbs the mountain. I don't want to specifically spoil anything, as it's much better experienced for yourself, but for a game that I thought was solely going to be based on gameplay, I was very impressed by the engaging and emotional story it threw at me. Plus, the side characters are pretty hilarious. And yeah, that's about all my thoughts on Celeste. I'm sure you've heard tons about how great this game is, and I wholeheartedly agree with anyone praising it. I'll even give Celeste an A+. So if you're still watching this video and haven't played it yet, I mean, what are you doing? I know I'll be returning to Celeste quite often, and I seriously can't recommend it enough. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope to see you all in another video. Have a great day. Bye.